Headliner Nation, it is Thursday, which not only means it's rankings day here at the Fantasy Headliners, but it means Thursday Night Football and the official beginning of the 2023 NFL season. Yo, what is going on, everybody? Welcome in to my top 30 running back rankings, and I've also got a few names that are just going to be on the outside looking in. But before I jump into all of my rankings for you, it doesn't matter if you're new here or maybe you're coming back from last season or multiple seasons. Let's just touch base really quickly on what the rankings episodes are for. Now, first and foremost, we use the rankings episodes as an update to our start and sit shows that come out earlier in the week. If there's anything that has happened between then and now, we use this opportunity to cover that with you and make final decisions on how we feel like guys could perform this coming week. But also keep in mind that our ranking shows are meant to be quick hitting. We're gonna run through our rankings, give you a couple of pieces of information, give you some updated information, and we're gonna go right through it, giving you all the names in order. If you're wanting more detailed breakdowns on the matchup themselves, that is still for the start and sit videos that come out earlier in the week. But I just want to remind everyone, we do our top 100 flex rankings, kicker rankings, and defensive special teams rankings as members only videos. So if you're having issues deciding on your flex, if you have defensive questions, kicker questions, those are all answered in those videos, which are posted right here for our members. And if you're interested in becoming a member, I highly encourage you to do so. You can get access to all the exclusive videos, including those rankings, here on YouTube, plus access to our Discord for as little as $5 a month. But if you're interested in taking your fantasy experience to a whole nother level and you want one-on-one direct contact with Jake and I through Discord, then think about becoming a member of our $20 tier, which will allow you to submit as many tickets as you want throughout the season to ask Jake and I questions directly. All you got to do is hit that blue join button down below, choose the tier that you would want, make sure you check out all the perks for each tier, and then you are raring and ready to go. Connect your Discord to YouTube and we're gonna get you all hooked up. But enough of that, it is time to jump into it. Let's kick off my top 30 running back rankings, and we're gonna start with Austin Ekeler at the very top. I am really looking forward to how this potential new passing attack in Los Angeles opens up some huge holes for Austin Ekeler and helps him get back to some higher efficiency on the ground this year that he lacked a little bit of last season. Christian McCaffrey going up against Pittsburgh could be a tougher battle on the ground, but given that they're going to be banged up with George Kittle, it definitely leaves open the possibility for Christian McCaffrey to have a pretty big day on the ground. Nick Chubb is going to be all the way up at number 3, going up against Cincinnati this week. Definitely not going to be an easy matchup, but not the most difficult of matchups either. He's going to have a ton of workload, and we know that he could be used in the passing game a little bit more this year. Let's see that upside this year, baby. Let's go, Nick Chubb. I've got Derrick Henry at number 4, and I truly believe he is going to be running angry this week. He has made several comments this offseason about wanting to come out and prove all of the haters wrong, and that the running back position is one that is truly meant to be valued at the NFL level. I expect a big week 1 from the King. I've got Tony Pollard at number 5. I definitely think the upside is in this area, given the fact he's going to be utilized on the ground and through the air. But the biggest thing about Tony Pollard is his big playability. It just takes one big run or one big catch to give him the top 5 upside that we need. Saquon Barkley at number 6 is a little bit lower than I would like to start the season, but this is a tougher matchup that I do believe limits his floor a little bit more. However, because he's the main guy in that offense, he also could have a decently high ceiling to go with it. Yes, there is going to be risks there, given the fact that, hey, if the New York Giants fall behind and they have to throw it more, does Barkley get utilized as much as we would like? The inefficiencies that we saw last season, do they get better here in week 1? That's the only reason why I've got him a little bit lower. BIJAN Robinson at number 7, and I would love to go higher with him in this matchup, but we still don't know how much is Tyler Algier going to be utilized? How much will Bijan Robinson actually be out in the slot? How many targets will he actually get? So many questions to be answered, but the one thing we know, the guy will have top 10 potential every single week, given his usage and the amount that the Atlanta Falcons want to run the football. Joe Mixon at number 8, and I would love to say that he has a little bit of a higher floor than what we saw last season, but I don't know if that's possible. However, given his usage in the passing game last season, if that carries over to 2023, then we are definitely set up for top 10 potential every single week. Josh Jacobs is going to get a Denver defense that was very good last season. They didn't give up a whole lot of points, but unfortunately, they didn't score a whole lot of points either. So my biggest thing with Josh Jacobs this week is whether or not he gets a full workload, because he missed basically all of training camp. Is he in football shape? If he is, he'll definitely be out there for 20 carries this week. If he's not, the ceiling could come down because maybe we only see 15 to 18 carries. At number 10, I've got Travis Etienne Jr. And the Colts defense sometimes is on, sometimes is off. When it's on, that's good for them and they look really good. But when they're off, they can get shredded. Now they need to be fully healthy. And if that's the case, they should be in a pretty good position. But Travis Etienne has home run potential in the passing game, on the ground. It doesn't matter. And Tank Bigsby is not going to unseat Travis Etienne as the starter, and he certainly isn't going to take away some of the ceiling that we see because of his big playability. Aaron Jones at number 11 going up against Chicago. Definitely think we're going to see a big workload in the passing game this week, and touchdown potential is 100% going to be there. I am locked and loaded for a big season from Aaron Jones. Ramondre Stevenson at number 12 is going to have a tougher matchup with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he should see more than enough targets in the passing game to get him up into that RB1 area. On the ground, could be a little bit more difficult. Zeke probably going to see the goal line carries if they get there, but that's all right. Stevenson being utilized heavy in the passing game again and still being the number 1 back on the ground means top 12 potential every week. JAHMYR GIBBS at number 13. This is going to be a passing game going up against Kansas City. Now, Kansas City is going to be missing Travis Kelce, and maybe that does limit their upside a little bit, and that in turn could limit Detroit's offensive upside. But also, Chris Jones on the defensive line is going to be missing as well, which is a big opportunity for JAHMYR GIBBS to take advantage. Kenneth Walker III going up against the LA Rams. Now, the defensive front for the LA Rams is still going to cause some problems for opposing teams, but this is a defense that has taken a step back from last season. For Kenneth Walker, really the only thing limiting his upside is Zach Charbonnet. How much is he used this week? I'm going to have him just outside the top 12 until we figure out a little bit more about Charbonnet. Alexander Mattison at 15 going up against Tampa Bay. Now, this should be a pretty safe matchup for him. The only thing that I am concerned about is some limited upside if Minnesota were to get out in front of Tampa Bay and to take up a pretty big lead. If that happens, maybe we start to see Alexander Mattison come off the field a little bit more to make sure they keep him healthy throughout the season. J.K. Dobbins at number 16, and this might be a pretty decent matchup against Houston. Once again, I'm being cautious with the ceiling because how much do we see this offense transform into a pass-heavy offense? There's been talk that they're going to pass it a lot more than what they've done in years past. But how much? Also, how much does Gus Edwards get on the field? J.K. Dobbins this offseason did not seem to be on the same page as Baltimore. Does his week 1 usage reflect that? Still a lot of questions for me, although he could still have a decent week. Cam Akers at number 17 could end up actually having a juicy matchup. But for as high as his ceiling is, which I do believe is in this 17 range, I also believe that his floor could be a lot lower as well. Yes, he performed well down the stretch last season when this offense wasn't playing that well. But we're missing Cooper Kupp again. Yes, Matthew Stafford is back, but does it make much of a difference? There's a lot of questions to still be answered about how this offense will look this season with all the turnover that they have had. Najee Harris at 18 going up against San Francisco is going to be a super tough matchup matchup. I don't think he has a very high ceiling, and even if he gets you 15 to 20 touches, you're going to basically be hoping for a touchdown this week. And I don't care whether or not Bosa is in the lineup, this San Francisco team is still very good. Miles Sanders at 19. I don't love his upside this year, but he should still have a decent floor given the amount of touches that he is going to get. Let's just keep our fingers crossed that offensive line looks better than what they did in the preseason. Isaiah Pacheco is a very safe option for me. He's not a guy that is going to help a whole lot in the passing game. He even might come off the field for Clyde Edwards-Helaire every once in a while, but this week I did bump him up a few spots knowing that Travis Kelce may be out of the game. Now, does that mean that it's just going to lead to more rushing attempts? Maybe not, because it depends on how well Detroit's offense have performed. If they put up some numbers, then they're still going to have to throw it, and the Chiefs are probably going to have McKinnon on the field a little bit more than we would like. I would love to have Dameon Pierce higher than 21, but I can't right now because it's a tough matchup against Baltimore. We should still see a pretty balanced approach. I don't think we're going to send CJ Stroud out to throw the ball 35, 40 times a game. They're going to try to stay balanced, but being a tougher defense means a little bit of a lower ceiling for Pierce. Holy cow, I would love to go all in on Brian Robinson this week and what could end up being a really good matchup against an Arizona defense that just will not be as good as it has been in years past. But again, how much will Antonio Gibson be used? If Washington can get out to a really nice lead and just focus on running the football, Brian Robinson, to me, could actually end up going up into the top 15. Rachaad White against Minnesota, I don't love it. I don't love Rachaad White. His numbers last year in terms of efficiency just were not good. And that has nothing to do with Leonard Fournette, because even when he was the starter, his efficiency wasn't that great. It was 100% propped up by volume. So there's a lot of questions to be answered about Rachaad White this season, and those questions are going to start to come to fruition in week 1. Plus, he's got a guy by the name of Sean Tucker hot on his heels to start taking away touches that we hope that he would have gotten this season. Be cautious with White this week. James Conner at number 24. I would like to prop him up higher because of his usage in the passing game, because he's going to be one of the primary targets. This week, though, can't do it because unfortunately I think on the ground he's just not going to see nearly enough upside. Going up against a tough Washington defense that we would need to throw him out there is even like an RB2 type player. David Montgomery at number 25. I don't think he's going to have a ton of upside this week, but I definitely could see him getting at least 15 carries and potentially finding the end zone one time as well. JAHMYR Gibbs is going to pick up a lot of work in the passing game, but I also believe we're going to see Gibbs and Montgomery on the field together at the same time. Jamal Williams is another guy that could end up going a little bit higher. Right now I've got him at 26 because Kendre Miller has not officially been ruled out as of yet. Now, if Miller were to miss, and considering Alvin Kamara is already missing the first 3 games as well, then Jamal Williams could end up going anywhere from 4 to 5 spots higher for me. Now, Tennessee's defense at times has been good, and at other times they have struggled. So how good will the offense be for New Orleans? Are they going to be able to pass the ball well? Is Derek Carr going to be on the same page as his wide receivers? Because that could really help open things up for Jamal Williams this week and make his ceiling even higher. Raheem Mostert was a sleeper for me all offseason long, and if you listen to that advice, you're in pretty decent position having him on your roster right now. But I'm going to have him down at number 27 this week because I see a potential shootout brewing between Miami and the Chargers, and if that happens, then we find Mostert in a position where he just doesn't get the amount of touches that we want on the ground. The chain is still kind of banged up, potentially could still play this week and be just fine. We'll have to monitor that and see what happens though. Jerick McKinnon, I move up a few spots into my top 30 at number 28 after the news that Travis Kelce would potentially be missing this week. Does leave us open for a few more targets for McKinnon, but we know that Isaiah Pacheco is going to be the guy on the ground, and last year we saw the Chiefs really start to spread the ball around a whole lot more. With McKinnon, definitely could be a safe floor given the potential of targets, but for him to reach a higher upside, he's going to have to score a touchdown. James Cook at number 29. This is another guy that I would love to go higher with this week, but it is a tough matchup against the New York Jets. Definitely foresee them throwing the football quite a bit, and I'm not necessarily sure how many targets Cook will get on a weekly basis. If you have a flex spot open and you don't know what else to do with it, the lower ceiling of James Cook may not win you the week, but he also should see more than enough touches that he won't necessarily lose it either. And at number 30, Khalil Herbert. He's going to be the starter. He's going to get the majority of touches this week. As long as he performs well against Green Bay, he'll continue to hold on to that position. All right, let's talk about my first 4 out. And actually, it's going to be my first 5 this week because I've got 2 guys from the same team. Starting it off with Javonte Williams. Definitely interested in seeing how many touches he gets. I couldn't quite get him into the top 30 yet without knowing how he fares with a larger workload coming back from his injury. For the New York Jets, Breece Hall and Dalvin Cook, they're both going to get touches. Dalvin Cook should still be the #1 back this week. I think he sees more touches than Breece Hall, but it's not enough for me to put him into the top 30 yet without knowing how this backfield is going to look. Antonio Gibson at number 34, he doesn't have a really high ceiling because really his role is going to be in the passing game, and they could end up getting out to a decent lead, which would lead Brian Robinson to seeing more touches this week. And last but not least, DeAndre Swift. My biggest issue with DeAndre Swift is, yes, if he rips off a big play, that could end up being enough to make his fantasy day, but he's splitting the backfield with 2 other running backs, Kenneth Gainwell and Rashad Penny, plus a running quarterback in Jalen Hurts, plus an offense that is dynamic and can throw the football whenever they want to. How much volume does DeAndre Swift actually get? Yo, Headliner Nation, there are my top 30 running back rankings with my first 5 out as well. Make sure you hit that like button if you appreciate the content we're putting out for you here. If you're new to the channel, then you've got to subscribe and stick with us all season long. But most importantly, if you became a member during this video, let me know that you joined down in the comment section below so I can welcome you into the exclusive Headliner Nation. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll catch you all on the next episode of the Fantasy Headliners.